What's up, guys? So my definition of karma and what I feel it means, and then kind of taking that concept and playing with it in terms of, the things that happen to your life and how you can interpret it and how you can go about, managing these things. So really quickly, definition of karma, my opinion, this isn't my opinion. This is actually the most neutral definition, is whatever you put out, you get back. So to color that a little bit with like perspective, if you do something that you would dub negative, if you do something negative, you get that, you would get that back. If you do something positive, you would get that back. If you were kind of a philanthropist and you were kind to people and you were, helping people in their lives and, making difference and stuff, you get that energy back. If you are the opposite of that, if you're stealing and you're taking and you're a leech and you're hurting people, you get that energy back. That's my concept of karma. And what I mean by leech is like, the insect leech. I think it's an insect. It sucks blood from, it sucks blood from, whatever animal it's on. So it's benefiting itself, but it's actually hurting, the animal that it's sitting on. So that's why people, use that reference. Oh, you're being a leech. This person's a leech. They're toxic because they're sucking your energy, but they're not giving you anything back. So this idea of karma, I've seen this recently with people where, this has been a conversation I've been having because a lot of people close to me really believe karma is a thing. And I believe it is too. And you don't necessarily, you could believe in God or you could not believe in God. But I just believe that this is one of this is like kind of the physics of the universe, in my opinion. And I'm just a dude, but just in my experiences, I see this to be true, that this is kind of like a calculation in the universe. Like you do good things, you put out good things, and you get good things back. And I kind of feel like, or negative things, you do negative things and you get that back. Like in my experience, whenever I've slipped up and I've done something not so good, I get that back a lot more rough than what I put out. So, and then the same, like if I put out good, like I just start getting good back, and it's just a cool thing. But what I can say is, and I've noticed this, a lot of my friends, they've had similar experiences. We've seen this sort of dynamic with people where they'll do something not so nice, and then they get some negative sort of thing back. And sometimes it's not always. Sometimes what they did doesn't necessarily equate to what the negative thing that happened to them. And in a lot of ways, I feel like this is, from like a spiritual perspective, I feel like this is a lesson to them. If it comes back rougher, if a negative experience comes back rougher, and they correlate those two experiences, like I feel like I just had this negative experience because I did this negative thing. It's a lesson, like a hard lesson. If you are spiritual, if you do believe in karma, for them to kind of be like, okay, like let's move in a positive direction, And I think that's a really good thing. I think that in a lot of ways, like if it comes back, if you feel karma comes back harder for you, it's almost a blessing, because it keeps you on a path of actually benefiting yourself, actually helping yourself. The idea of karma actually comes from this idea that everything is connected, and we're all connected. So if you do something negative to somebody, you're actually doing something negative to yourself. Okay, so that's why inevitably, if you did something negative to someone, or if you did something positive to someone, that would come back, because you're doing that to someone who is you at a larger level, and this is a whole conversation of the universe. Like, what is the universe? What are we doing here? You can look into that yourself, and I know a lot of you guys have your own interpretation of this, but it's just that concept that because everything is connected, that you're essentially, whatever you do to somebody, you're doing to yourself. So all this being said, in terms of, what you can do with this information, I know good people where bad things happen to them, and it just doesn't seem, it's like these people are really great people and negative things keep happening to them. So my thoughts on this is I don't necessarily always think it's karma. I think in some ways it's just an opportunity basically for them to grow, because if a good person, if negative things keep happening to them, I feel like, and I don't like calling it a challenge, you can call it a challenge, but I feel like in a lot of ways this person is meant to have like great potential in the world. And usually I see this with young people. Negative things keep happening to them, and what I can tell in a lot of these people's personalities is they just seem very, very mature to me, and they seem very, very wise, and I believe it's because of these experiences. So I'm not trying to sugarcoat negative experiences. I'm not saying, oh my God, that's a blessing you have cancer or something. What I'm saying is, if negative things are happening to this person, one perspective that you can take is, and it's not necessarily for you to them, but for them to take on, is maybe this is meant to help, make me a more powerful person. Like inevitably this is strengthening me, and that's generally always the case. I don't know a young person who hasn't been through a lot who is not more mature, who is not more developed because of those experiences. So that is one take on it. And in terms of negative experiences that happen to you that may be linked through your decisions, so things that you've chosen, you've opted into, as opposed to things that like you may not have had a lot of control over. If you keep choosing to be in relationships that are abusive, for example, back in the day, you may not have, in hundreds of years ago, we may not have been able to choose our spouse. That could have been a family decision based on, money, or based on land or something like that. But today, through choice, if you are choosing to be in negative relationships, that is an opportunity for you to sit back and be like, okay, like, why do I keep getting in these relationships? Is it their fault, or is it something inside of me that keeps drawing these sort of relationships, or pulling me into these sort of relationships, or making me choose this? So that's an opportunity for you to do some self-work, to maybe work with a counselor, to meditate, to just find out something maybe that you're not aware of is causing you to be in these to opt into these negative experiences. So in that way, negative experiences like that can actually teach you something, so your decisions will change once you have those discoveries as to why you keep going to these negative things, and you can shift that into a more positive experience, or a more positive experience, or at least something that's better. And sometimes people are in one bad relationship and then they have a better relationship, but there's still like red flags, and it's a progression towards something that's really, really healthy. So anyway, and that's, I wish upon someone in that situation that they do the self-work and they figure it out and finally get that relationship that they're really looking for, because they've done the self-work and they have self-love, and that's what they're drawing into their life. They're drawing the reflection of their own self-love and self-respect, as opposed to the opposite. So anyway, guys, cool beans. That was my take on karma. That was my take on just experiences in life, and sort of like the dynamics that I think goes on behind them. So or the experiences that we have. So anyway, cool beans, guys. Peace. Have a good one.